Yo, what is going on, Geek Corner? This is your boy Erskmac, the mad scientist, and welcome back to the Orange Phoenix Media Channel, one of the hottest black up-and-coming comic book YouTube channels on this side of the Dakotaverse. And obviously today I have some very, very special guests on the show. My boy Captain Diesel, fellow member of the BCA, and also Ryan Zella of Zella Comics of the BCA. How you fellas doing this
morning? What's
morning?
going on, guys?
I'm good. I'm recovering a little bit. I went to touch some grass last night with some friends, and yeah, it's early. It's early over here. I'm glad to be here, though. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I woke up at dawn.
Oh yeah,
Good man, good man. Feeling good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no doubt, man. And it's always fun to touch grass. It's always fun to touch grass sometimes, man. To go out there and get some fresh air because, you know, this past couple of days have been pretty busy for us, and some of the other people that are not, you know, out here in their absence because they have their respective shows later on this afternoon. But for the people that don't know, we started a movement as of 2 days ago, and it's been officially today 1,202 days since DC Comics published an ongoing comic for a black character in their mainline continuity, and that movement entered phase 2, which is called the DC Blackout. And you know, over the course of a couple of days, I know myself, you know, Captain Diesel, Ryan, they seen some things. People have been commenting, you know, and some of it is just sheer ignorance, but and then some of it, you know, just in my experience was just curiosity on how this work and all this other stuff. So I'm gonna lead the floor to you fellas and just tell us what a DC Blackout is about, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for people that maybe are new to the campaign from DC Soweto as a whole, this is really just getting into the conversation around representation and inclusion, right? We are going over almost 3.5 years now of no black character being a lead in an ongoing title in the mainline continuity of DC. And for people that may not understand why that's so important, you're getting into conversations around commitment and feeling as though you're worthy enough. And for me, I've seen a lot of conversation, obviously stuff we've been seeing for months around Absolute Green Lantern, or why aren't you cool with Batman and Static Beyond being enough for you guys? And I grew up with a grandfather who was very much so active in being in and around the civil rights movement. And I know that growing up, when you're hearing stories about segregation where they're saying, hey, why aren't you comfortable with having your own water fountain over there? Why aren't you comfortable with having your own section in the movie theater up there away from everybody else? Yeah, you're separate but equal. And for me, that's not enough. I want to be valued in the same way that all the other white fans are valued. I want to have characters stand shoulder to shoulder with all the other white counterparts within this universe. And this is why I found that important. It's something that's always spoke to me historically in my family, my lineage, and as well as who I am as a person. And I don't feel comfortable with going on to just continue to buy these books and ignoring this issue for over and especially the more you learn about it. Because I think it's easy when you're just not aware of how comic books work, or even that there's an issue to begin with. But once you start doing content around this stuff, once you start talking to certain writers, you start noticing, man, this person is a very prolific writer. Why isn't this person getting an opportunity here? Or you'll hear writers give great pitches like Stephanie Williams gave with her Vixen pitch online that she did on the podcast. And you're just like, damn, she's an Eisner, or at least at the time she was an Eisner Award nominated, but hell, fucking Roots Madness and Temporal was so amazing. Why is she not getting a chance to do these things over there? Because it seems like people are excited about it. You know, she's a quality writer. What's going on here? And it's just, again, something to call out with DC. And I think that moving into the blackout for the factor of they haven't even addressed it publicly on record for the most part has been something like, okay, you can't act as though this is going to go away. You can't ignore this problem until it goes away. This is something you're going to have to address. We're going to make you address this. And at some point, I do think we're going to get things addressed, and I do think demands will be met. But it's just a matter of being consistent and keeping foots on necks of the people in charge of making those decisions. And I don't want people to misunderstand that we are trying to get at writers or even Scott Snyder himself. We understand that those people aren't the ones that make all the overarching decisions on what books get greenlit. They're only in charge of presenting pitches or maybe getting pitches ready. So we're looking at people that are above them that make the decision and asking them, hey, we're going to try to hold you accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Ryan?
What it means to me, and something that I've been trying to stress to people and kind of point out, is that a lot of well, there's a lot of white folks that are asking, is this something for them? Should they care? Why should they care? And something that I'm pointing out is you're missing out on these characters too. Like, all of these characters that you say are good enough because in the background or whatever, Static, he had that one side book with Batman Beyond, and every once in a while Icon's over here in the background and Vixen's over here in the background. And it's like, yeah, man, but you're missing out on that dope Vixen story. Like, you're missing out on that Eisner Award winning. There's an Eisner Award winning Vixen story that we're just not getting right now. And it's not just that, isn't a shame just for the Black community or, minorities in general. That's a shame for everybody. And that's the thing that I'm trying to expose and say, like, that's the lie that you've been told. Like, as white fans, y'all have been told that you're not going to like it. You've been told you're not going to like it, but every time y'all get a taste, you do like it. Like, we know, because we go back and forth. And that's the other thing that's so frustrating is you look at things like the Dakota incident. Like, that sold very well, not just because of Black people. Like, that sold very well because the community got behind it once they found out about it and knew about it, and everybody wanted that book. They were clamoring for it. They tried to leak it to try to downplay the sales. That's that. I can't say that happened officially. That is my headcanon, though. It just feels very coincidental that a week before it just magically appeared for free on the internet, right before a important sales date, that they said, if that number is a good number, we'll start talking more shop. It just felt like convenient timing. But my point in all that is saying everyone is missing out. This is a detriment to the comic community at large. This is bigger than just representation for Black folks. Like, we're the ones bringing it up, but everyone is missing out on all of these characters and all of these stories and all of these things that we could be doing and we could be having. Like, there's a new Bishop book that's coming out from Marvel. Like, there's kids that will get that Bishop #1 feeling that someone in the 90s got. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll be able to have that. I want that for Black Lightning, but for a full series. Like, I want a kid to be able to go and pick up a #1 of Mr. Terrific, and it being an ongoing series, and he's going to be on his way to collecting 40 books out of that. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much being taken away from the comic community completely because at the end of the day, they're scared. And honestly, I truly think it's kind of, they just think that their fandom is more, quote unquote, quotey fingers, racist than they actually are. They think that their general audience won't like it, because that's what it comes down to. If you're going to say the money issue, that they're just losing money, because then that means that DC thinks that their main audience just can't handle a Black person in the lead. That's insane. So that's where I'm coming from with it.
And to your point and Captain Diesel's point, I found it amazing that you had a family member that was heavily involved in the civil rights movement. And I've said this on my most recent video referencing the DC, talking about the DC Blackout, that if you take comic books out of the equation and you talk about the civil rights movement, there were people that looked like us that had doubts. And like, no, why are you rocking the boat? Why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? Had our civil rights leaders listened to those individuals, we wouldn't have some of the things that we have today. And I get that feeling when we started this movement, a couple of days ago, looking at people comments and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this had to be how civil rights leaders felt like when they saw people like have these doubts. And also us as Black people, we know what breadcrumbs look like. Like, we know when we getting like little bit at a time, and it's like a slap in the face to us too in that aspect. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not gonna listen to us in this way. We're gonna go this way. We're gonna go phase 2 and phase 3 and so on until you hear us. And there's also a notion like, okay, well, how about not support this at all and just support black indie books? But have you read the articles? Like, have you looked at the
No,
videos?
they
Like,
have not.
which is wild to me that you are a comic book reader, which means you should know reading comprehension, you should know media literacy, but you do not want to read as far as what's going on or watch videos and see how this is being explained and how we are supporting black books. Because if you pulling all your DC books out of your pull list and your pre-order list, and we're telling you to replace those with other indie titles and black indie titles, then how are we not supporting black indie books?
There is, and again, you learn this as a content creator. The more and more you do it, there are a couple of different things that happen. People will take a clip of your content and put a caption on it that has no relation to what you actually said. And people will watch the clip, they'll see the caption and your face on it and associate you with whatever narrative that is. They will see your thumbnail on the video and assume, well, his thumbnail's all I need to know about the video. I don't need to hear any nuance that he has to say. Or people will watch your video up until you say something that makes them question things that they believe in, or just genuinely something they don't enjoy or don't like. So then they tune out everything else you say in regards to context or whatever else has going on. And then you'll generally have people like what happened, I think yesterday, that I was seeing a lot of, where publications on Facebook or whatever it may be will post about the boycott and put misinformation interwoven into the actual message to make people believe this is what we stand for. So instead of people feeling like they can do the due diligence of looking this stuff up or finding out who we are, or we're going to the website and reading things, they just take whatever they was put in front of them at face value. And it's sowing seeds of dissension there, because you'll have people come to our comment sections on videos or posts whatever we have going on, and they're saying that we're trying to promote or do things that is just 100% not true. And we're like, where are you getting this from? And as time goes on, and I'm seeing, because I'm in the nerd groups as well, I'm in all the comic forums, and I see this stuff pop up for it's an algorithm. I'm seeing, and we put it in our respective chats, and we're talking about it. Like we see y'all lying on certain stuff and being dishonest about it. And it's just a matter of, we talked about it last night. I'm not going to worry about trying to correct misinformation, because again, they're putting out the misinformation to garner attention. We're just going to continue to push with our message and give things as accurately as possible. And if people discover where they can go to accurately get information that is true, perfect. But we don't need to run behind everybody putting out seeds of disinformation out there to correct everybody, because at this point it becomes this back and forth, and it distracts from the overall goal that we're trying to set forth.
Yeah, and it's definitely crabs in the barrel like mentality when it comes to these folks, because some of these folks haven't read a comic book in God knows when, and they have so much to say. I'm like, okay, if you ain't read comic books like that since God knows when, then why you got something to say? Like, why are you out here spreading misinformation or trying to dilute the message? And it's typically our own people that's doing that, which is crazy and mind-boggling.
Something I'm getting real frustrated with is it feels like, hey, Captain, I'm sure you can agree with me here. It feels like we were telling people about final order cutoffs. We were telling people about pull lists. We were teaching people about this a couple months ago. Like, we're having first time conversations about this stuff. And it feels like ever since May 28th, I don't know when all of y'all started working deep in the accounting section at DC, but it seems like everybody is like a DC insider, accountant, like they know the inner workings of everything. And they're like, no, there was one person, I made a video and I was like, who did you talk to that told you this? Because this isn't how it works. So why are you like, he wrote a long paragraph telling me in detail the pitching process at DC. Absolutely made up. Completely made up, but just speculation. And the guy, I told him to DM me, and he was like really apologetic, and he was like, "Oh wait, I agree with you guys. I believe in what you believe in. I just thought it worked another way." And I'm like, "It doesn't. Why are you guys making this up? Like, there's no reason to make stuff up." And because the thing that we are calling for is to pull your pull list.
Yes.
There's so many of you that we just taught what a pull list was, that the amount of you that are offended that is what we asked for feels mind-boggling. Like, I don't think you guys pull DC books. enough to be mad or telling me that you're not going to participate in the boycott that by default you already do. Like, if you don't buy DC books right now, why are you upset? Because DC is one publisher.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one. And honestly, I'm fully on board with this because I saw Impound do it, and I'm not gonna hate on anybody trying to get a bag. If you're an indie writer right now, you want to parlay this into a bag, absolutely do it. Because at the end of June, I would love to show that all of y'all got an increase in sales because we did this. So yeah, be like, yeah, if you're doing the blackout, come over here. Tell us what character is a one-to-one with your character. If you like so-and-so, pick up me. Do that. Like, if you feel so offended that we're not the DC blackout is for y'all. Like, that's the point. It is so frustrating that that it's like that there's this infighting, and we are not asking anything of the comic community. We are asking for one publisher to introduce more. That's it. We're only asking for more stuff for the comic community from the publisher. Y'all don't have to do anything. Like this costs you nothing. I don't know why anybody's against it.
And we always preface it by saying, no, we're not calling DC racist. We don't want DC to fold. We don't want DC to go under or anything, any stretch of the imagination. We want change within this company. And there are several black characters out there that will sell extremely well. So, and also give us the promotion the same type of promotion that you give your white titles, and see how far that goes. I mean, we all seen the level of advertisement DC does, to the point that I don't see Marvel Comics doing this type of advertisements. I can't tell you how long it's been since I've seen a comic book commercial on TV, and DC was the one to do that. So,
I'll give Marvel some credit, because it's been like a year or two at this point, but for Blood Hunt, they did put a lot of money behind Blood Hunt and marketing for Blood Hunt when that was the thing. Because there are a lot of people that assume Blade was getting his movie coming out finally because they saw ads for that and that event. I wasn't tracking sales really heavily at that point, but from the way people were talking about it and the way it was selling out in my shop, and I saw other people talking about it, it looked like Blood Hunt did very well, and that was a black character in Blade that had been kind of out the pasture for a while, being put in there. And then, granted, I have my gripes for how it ended, because, certain characters were propped up and some characters were brought in. But at the end of the day, you gave me a Blade book. You put a Blade as a black character up front. You brought his daughter in Brielle Brooks. You gave her a whole book with Dracula for a little bit. In the event, you were at least trying to get her some more light. Like, that's all we're asking for. If you're going to do this event or do something, you can just bring in characters along as things go. And we're just asking for mainline faith in that. Because now when you go forward from Blood Hunter, right, with Marvel can now, in 60 years in the future, if somebody, say a writer who's a kid now gets opportunity to write for Marvel, write for Blade, they can pull back to this event that happened in Blood Hunt and make a new storyline out of that. And I think that's something that people don't understand when we're talking about mainline versus absolute stuff. At the end of the day, absolute may be selling really well right now, but in 200 years, when people are writing things, it's not mainline continuity, so they can't pull from absolute stuff to be a marker on the map of what's going on with this character. But you know what happened with Superman? I can pull back the most obscure characters from Superman's past and now write that character into being somebody that's prevalent now, or put a twist on things. But if there's no history with the character, there's only so much you can do, which is why ongoing to mainline continuity to create DC history within their continuity is important.
Exactly. And that was some part of the argument too. Like, oh, well, what about Absolute Universe? They're killing it right now. They even had a crossover event with the mainline continuity. I was like, so did the Ultimate Universe in Marvel, but it's ending. Like,
you saw the only way they were able to have that happen is that they had to jump through all kinds of hoops to bring Miles Morales out of that into the mainline continuity, because, hey, he's a really, really popular character, but we can't do anything with him really because he's in a very universe that we killed off. So what do we do? Oh, we're going to try to find some kind of mental gymnastics to pull him out of that universe. And however they did it, it was kind of weird, but they did it. And now look at what's happening. You give him ongoings now in your mainline continuity, and to what I would call the Cody Ziegler run that he had recently, did very well. It was an amazing run for the parts that I read about it.
Isn't there Absolute Crisis coming? Like, I read DCKO and it ended on basically a cliffhanger that Next Level was going to be the next part of the main continuity, and then Absolute Crisis was going to happen, and I imagine that would be the end of the Absolute Universe whenever that happens. Like, I feel like there's an expiration date on the Absolute Universe that everybody keeps ignoring. I'm not sure why. I haven't heard them say that would absolutely be the end, but it feels like it. Like if they crash into the main universe, right?
And keep in mind, even like pulling, because we again I talk about pulling people in, and they're like, well, maybe they can pull in Joe Mullane into mainline continuity. She already exists in mainline continuity. Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman already exist in mainline continuity. They're not going to replace the traditional Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman with absolute versions of them perpetually going forward. So unless you think they're going to have them operate at the same time in the same Gotham in the same mainline, they're about to be gone. And when they're gone,
right,
unless they decide to pull them back out in like 5 to 10 years, like they've done with different stuff, like you've seen symbiotes being done to death. You've seen Marvel go back and re-explore the Ultimate Universe again, like a decade or so later. Maybe that's possible, but when this is gone, it's gone.
Yeah,
and then we're back to no Black ongoing doing well, because Absolute Green Lantern will be gone at that point.
And it's crazy because Ultimate Universe rode that shit till the wheels fell off. So, I mean, it's at its end, and then just like what Ryan's saying, like, Absolute Crisis. I'm like, okay, so what is your argument now that it's over? Because this is just temporary. That's just all this is, and that's also low key saying that these characters are not good enough for the mainline continuity, so we're gonna give them their own story over here. So you can be satisfied over here, and that's not
right. Because even if they do continue, it'll just be an Elseworlds story.
Yeah,
like there is a other universe where they just put all this wacky shit all the time. So that isn't far fetched to me for it to just even continue on as a forever Elseworlds story. But then, yeah, it's just another Elseworlds story that they might end if it doesn't do well, because it's not the main continuity. That's the point.
yeah,
of was wanting that. And for everybody saying, well, why haven't you guys bought them? That's the whole thing, is that in 3.5 years, there hasn't been a book for people to buy. I don't understand why you guys don't get, because they're like, so you're telling me for the last 3 years you guys haven't bought what every single year they put out a mainline Black character and you guys never buy them. And I'm like, no, we're literally counting the days since they last did that. That's why. So last year before that, you couldn't have bought one. The year before that, you couldn't have bought one. So it's like, don't say that.
I don't. But new forms of promotion. And honestly, there's several comic book content creators like ourselves, and we can help with promoting the book, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I started Orange Phoenix back in, I would say, like 2016, 2017, a little bit under that. And one of the things I want to do is like visit various conventions, anime conventions, comic book conventions, and I wanted to highlight indie comics, and I wanted to highlight like Black comics. And then when I started my YouTube channel, really looking at comic book content, like reinvigorated my love for comic books in totality. So for anyone that stepped away from comic books, or someone that never read comic book a day in their life, they have that level of promotion through those content creators, and then they're like, oh, well, let me go to the comic book store. Now that I'm educated on how these comic book sales work, now I'm educated on how pull lists and pre-orders work, because that's how they track this, and not buy comic books off the shelf. So, we're not at, and it seems like it's a lot to ask for, but it's really not. This is not a hard ask. Like, this is an impossible task. So, and if you go to DCBlackout.com, even if you type out DCSoWhite.com, it'll still take you to the same website. What we're asking for during this boycott is announce 1 to 3 ongoing solo titles starring Black characters. Now, these titles should have Black creative teams to tell authentic narratives. That's no slight against, white writers or white artists or whatever the case may be, but the level of storytelling that we would like to see it can only be told by Black creative teams. And again, that's no slight. And it says allow these titles to have immunity from cancellation for 2 years, because there are some books out here that's been running and running and running. And let's keep it this whole stack. Not all the books are good. So
what is it with because again, we'll get into a couple things. Two things I wanted to speak to really quickly. Yeah. One, to get into the most recent thing in regards to books running that are not performing well. Even outside of performing well, right? When you're looking at Wonder Woman, there have been so many people for months now that have discussed the idea of wanting Tom King removed from writing Wonder Woman right now and wanting a new person on. When it was announced that Stephanie Williams would be coming in to write 2 issues, people were like ecstatic because Stephanie's coming in and they know the quality writer she is. They know what she did with Nubia, and they want her to take over for the run. This is even outside of the Black community. These are just people that enjoy the character that don't enjoy Tom King's run. So you have a massive amount of people saying they don't want him writing that book, but you continue to have him write that book and continue to have things on. When you're looking at books like The Flash, right, where if I remember correctly, they had like 3 different creative teams on it, like during the course of that book running on. So again, the book was so dysfunctional that you switched out writing team versus instead of you just canceling it outright, you just switch writing teams and creative teams on it. We're just asking for a smidgen of that same treatment in regards to a book. If you see a book that maybe doesn't do well initially, give it some time to find its audience, do proper promotional work around it. Now, getting into the promotional aspect of it, right? We're not even asking you to do anything that's outside the norm, because your indie counterparts do the exact same thing. Dynamite, Mad Cave, Image, like they will reach out to creators with larger platforms and say, hey, this person has a book coming up within the next couple months at a book, at a title, like again with what Dynamite did with our guy Ernie and Joe Casey for I'm just going to absolute Ben 10 for the Ben 10 book that they're putting out that's already out now. Joe Casey went on to Ernie's stream. He talked about the book. So for people that are fans of Ernie or maybe fans of Joe that wanted to know more about it, and he had talked about it on his own platforms, now you have a stream where this writer is talking about the details that they're planning on doing with the character, all the things that went into making this book, and now you draw interest in it. And it was as simple as sending an email or picking up the phone and saying, hey, content creator that has a platform or a demographic of a book that we think would do well, would you mind talking to this writer? And we sent the writer over with. These are things that happen already, and we're asking for DC to do the same. Social media presence. Y'all have hundreds of thousands of people following because DC has multiple accounts. Granted, the comics account itself is only like 200, almost 300,000. But even then, that is significantly more than most other comic book publishers that have to make things shake with less. And even then, with that, people are still going to like and be tapped into whatever you post. But you're not posting about your books consistently. You're posting about things here and there, but you would figure there'd be a lot more posting from issue to issue or about storylines or having people get interviewed. I don't know what their social media team does per se, or what the plan is, the strategic plan is in growing that platform or growing these books. But it's obvious there's a disconnect, and it feels like there's a major disconnect between promotion or marketing and the actual creative side of things with the editors. Like, it just seems like people are just kind of just doing stuff and they're just meeting up when they can. Because you're looking at the Dakota incident, right? A book where for months you saw the internet ablaze because the creative team was going from platform to platform, preaching the praises and begging people to go check out that book, and we're informing them about pre-order sales and final cutoff dates and things of that nature. And that book performed well. Not because DC marketing went out and said, hey, go check this book out, but the creative team had to pay for their own advertisement, go from platform to platform. And granted, it didn't do as good as we would hope, because again, there were sales for it that sold out, but most shops didn't pre-order a lot of extensive inventory for that book. So that's probably even limited to what the further success could have been for that book in particular. But it's just little stuff like that where I'm just like, again, we're not pulling teeth when I ask you to invent new ways to market. We're just asking you to do what people with a lesser platform does.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Kendra Davis in the chat.
I think it's really interesting that we put out, I mean, the history of the DC universe, the Dakota incident, like, I don't think we ever stop and appreciate how weird that book is. Like, in like exactly what it is. Like, we got an encyclopedia book, like to a second printing because people were this hungry just to see the characters on panel at all in any manner. Like, the Dakota incident isn't like a story. It's like a flashback kind of story. It's a retelling sort of thing. It's done in the same vein as the rest of the series was. And Yeah, I don't think the rest of the series sold very well. The new history of the DC universe in and of itself, I don't think that sold very well. So I think it is much more impressive that we got that strange of a book to a second or third printing almost. And that's because people want to see these characters. That should be the evidence that, like, at this point, folks are just will take anything because they're not out there at all.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And one of the things I'm like most upset about, and I've said this on my show before, the power company. Like, we was led to believe that, oh shit, we about to get a series. I was so excited about that point. I put out videos about it and stuff, and then crickets. And I'm like, man, this ain't it.
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember in 2021 there was a conversation of DC putting out some kind of post declaring that they would add more diversity and representation within comic books, right? Am I tripping on that? I swear I thought I remember them publicly saying they were declaring that was going to be a thing they would push for and advocate for in 2021.
I want to say, yeah. I want to say I read that somewhere. I'm not sure like where specifically, but I think I remember hearing that like from DC.
Yeah, and again, if I'm wrong, y'all let me know in the comment section below at some point, or just hit me up and let me know. But I swear I could remember that as again, I was a little much more casual at that point than I am now in regards to how much I was reading and being tapped in with the news for it. But
yeah,
I remember that being a thing, and if that was a thing, and I'm accurate in my assumption of that or my recollection of that.
No, okay. You're absolutely right. That was the announcement of the Milestone Initiative. That's what you're remembering. It was the announcement of the Milestone. I'm like, I know there was something that happened in 2021 too, because that was when my ears started to perk back up. And yeah, it was the Milestone Initiative.
And so we went through the Milestone Initiative. We got what I think that the books from that really ran to like what 2012. We got like the Shadow Cabinet, and I think there's a Icon of Rocket season 1 that came out.
Hardware.
That may have been it because I don't remember the Blood Syndicate getting anything. I don't remember Hardware getting anything. I think it was for the most part the static Icon of Rocket for the most part. And those ran, and once those were done, that was about it up until I Am Batman in 2023. So for 2 years, you tried to kind of push it. Well, no, I'm tripping because the Milestone Initiative, I thought it was, no, that you're right, because they came back with the Milestone Initiative. Remember that documentary they put out, the Milestone documentary that you can't really find anywhere online now.
Yeah, that was on HBO Max.
Yeah. That was there, and for whatever reason got taken off and is now lost media. That's interesting. So you make the declaration, you keep it up for a little bit of a tidbit, and even you know what? We'll play this game, right? We'll say that they did this initiative, those books came out, and those books didn't sell very well, and they said, "Hey, you know what? Those books didn't sell. The issue is you're not looking at why these books didn't sell, and you're saying instead of it being an issue with the creative team, instead of it being an issue maybe with that particular character out of the lineup, you say, well, it may be black books as a whole. So we're just not going to give you as many, or we're just not going to go ever back to this. We're not going to go back to characters that people are popular fans of. Because again, keep in mind, when you're looking at that Static book, right? Or Static as a character, we'll speak to him as a character. That was miles before miles in regards to popularity. And he's so popular to the point today, people are still cosplaying him at cons. People are still making fan arts and fan shows or they're trying to keep that character in the cultural zeitgeist. So it's like, if the book didn't sell well, it's not an issue with Static at that point. You have to question, what would you do? Did you market that book? What did you do to inform people about how to support that book? Because again, we've talked about it earlier in the stream, but I find it so odd that they aren't on there. Like every post that DC puts up when they announce a book, why are you not talking about when the final cutoff date for that book is? Why are you not encouraging people to go pre-order that book in the advertisement for everything you do? If that is so important, how you gauge the book success, why is that not a thing in every single book, not just black books, but every book?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until recently where I saw Kyle Higgins for Image come out and post about it. Where he was talking about final cutoff date and pre-orders and how important that was. You saw Dan Slott with Marvel have to come out and publicly talk about it. And what did they say? Oh, you're begging for people to come read Spider-Man because you're asking them to pre-order. Why is this your sentiment? Why is the thought? And when this is how the industry works in regards to how they gauge things, why is it that when the writers themselves are discussing and letting you know, like, hey, this is how this works, your first thought process isn't, oh, they're probably right. Maybe I should check into this. It's, no, you're begging.
Yeah, this is not begging. This is, asking, and this is phase 2. phase one was the hashtag DC So White, campaign, and it made waves. I mean, obviously, comic book companies are paying attention to this. I'm like, okay, yeah, DC's behind is on the fire, but this is our opportunity to like make right with some things, and that way they won't be on our neck about it. But Erskmac says she just saw Comic Pals doing a stream about the blackout, and two of their hosts just can't stop saying, "quote making all these distinctions dilutes the message." End quote. So
I'm trying to understand what they mean by that. How does that
All
dilute
what
the message?
Dilute what
Yes.
Maybe-
message?
is it absolute Green Lantern they're talking about in regards to distinctions? Maybe.
possibly, I mean, that's a possibility, but
Oh
I
yeah,
made a
maybe
point to
they're talking about
actively.
that.
Yeah, again, we talked about it already in regards to commitment and and all that other stuff. But again, if you hear we say about that stuff and you can't take a honest sentiment and honest point away from that, you're being disingenuous and willfully ignorant at that point. So it just, I've made it a point not to watch a bunch of video. Like I've seen a couple of the videos that other people have made in regards to critiquing it, and some of the critique I understand. And you know what? This is, I know this is your show, but this is one thing I wish first of all to speak about here, because this is one critique that I found some merit in. But at the end of the day, I do think it is worth continuing to boycott out. And it is the idea that in us doing this boycott now, it is inherently going to harm the books that are being brought up that have writers on them. I think, like, again, Zatanna, Jamal Campbell. I've made a whole video on Far Sector and how much I love Jamal Campbell's artwork and the way he creates comics, and him getting to write, pencil, and color, do all that stuff for the book and write it is amazing. Seeing, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name, the amazing writer for she's doing Absolute Catwoman now, but she did some other indie stuff that was amazing as well. Her getting a chance to write for a character in a popular run right now in Absolute, these are amazing. But at the end of the day, we understand this is needed. If we are always looking at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 titles potentially that will be good, that may be a scrap here and there, if we're always saying, hey, we want to do this, but we don't want to harm these books, there's always going to be a book like that. There's never going to be a good time for advocacy and protest when you're doing these things. When people did the Montgomery bus boycott, do you not think there are people that said, hey, it's going to be hard for me to get to work right now? Can we do this later? Probably. But they did it anyway because they know that, yes, it's going to suck in this moment, but for the betterment of everything as a whole going forward, this is something we need to do. So the hope is that once this boycott happens, we won't just have to worry about Jamal Campbell stuff there. And again, keep in mind, if they see a dip in sales because there's a whole protest going on, right? If they can't say, you know what, Zatanna isn't selling well right now, and they see that there's such a buzz around the protest going on, and their first side is to cancel that book immediately, that speaks to the problem that we're talking about. Because they're not saying, oh, maybe that book isn't selling because people are doing an avid boycott of what we have going on right now. So we could probably keep this book running, but try to give them more stuff. If their thought process is, oh, the book's not selling because of this boycott, we're going to cancel this or cancel all the queer books that are going out, that are out right now with queer writers like Ivy, whatever it may be. If they're saying, because these books aren't going to sell because of this thing going on right now, and they cancel it, that speaks to why we're doing the boycott in the first place. Because Green Arrow, they got the run for the longest time up until Scott Snyder said that, bro, we're going to have to cancel the book because it's not selling right now. And that shit ran for years. If you cancel, and keep in mind, Absolute Catwoman as a whole, it was announced to 6 issues, I think, 5 or 6 issues. So it's already a mini. If Zatanna gets canceled at a certain point because of that, I'm like, look, that's a bigger issue with DC, and which is why we're being so aggressive with them being transparent with how they're marketing things and how they're taking in stuff. Because it seems as though they operate algorithmically based and not just based off of how much people enjoy these books. Because again, if they were always going off of pure sales numbers, they would do more to tell you about how sales numbers work in regards to pre-orders and final cutoff dates, but they don't.
Yeah, and Shay Grayson, that's the writer for Absolute Catwoman. And
okay. I follow her IG. I saw her talk about it recently. And again, she's great. She's great.
Yeah, and I saw Stephanie highlight her maybe a couple of days ago, like on Threads and Facebook, and giving her flowers from that standpoint. And you're absolutely correct. Like this, and also a great majority of these writers and artists have their own indie titles. Stephanie Williams, to be more precise, she has Roots of Madness, which I have this issue right here because my fiance took the rest of them. But
I got temporal right here.
got temporal.
My shit's in boxes. I gotta put my shit
right
in box.
here. Eisner nominated.
Oh, I got temporal on the. Wait, is there? It's up there. I don't know if y'all can see it up the top shelf right there. There we go. Is there? Is there?
Yep. And so I need to get the trade for temporal, because I do have the first, second issue of temporal, and I want to say Stephanie signed it. Yeah, I think I had Stephanie sign it, like when I saw her. Because matter of fact, she's gonna be at Heroes Con this summer too. So can't wait.
I'm hurt. She was in Atlanta for a con that she was at. I was supposed to get coffee with her and have her sign some stuff, but work got real busy and I wasn't able to go out there for it. So I'm hurt about that. But Stephanie, I love you. I'll talk to her again at some point.
Oh yeah. She's the bee's knees, if you will. And to say we don't support indie books, man, that's crazy work, because there's another one right here, Clock Striker for Saturday AM by Frederick Jones. If you go to SaturdayAM.com, because this is actually in manga like format. So
I'm not hearing nobody talk about me not supporting indie books. I've posted pictures of all those things in my collection. You can go to my channel and see my efforts of trying to platform indie books. I've done interviews with indie creatives. I've platformed indie creatives as much as possible. And hell, even go to Kickstarter, right? I've backed more indie Kickstarters than I have put out myself for my own indie stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, the receipts are there. And these indie creators can tell you themselves, the ones that have dealt with me, how passionate I'm about platforming them. So I'm not trying to hear, oh, they're neglecting it. No, bro.
Yeah.
No, bro.
That was
I'm
even
not trying to go for that.
at my LCS. I don't know how this is now, because this is the forward is by Ariel Johnson. I know y'all remember her. She had a black-owned comic book store in Philly, and then COVID hit. But there's an access guide to the black comic book community, and I bought this book immediately. It was like a guide on black books that's been written and drawn, and where you can check them out. And I kept this book. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna read today? And then look through it. And I'm like, okay, this one I'm gonna check out. From Tuskegee Airs. There's The Wrong Earth, Night and Day. Lake of Tears, Ungpang. Yeah. So yeah.
And look, bro. And let's keep it a book. With any movement, any kind of counterculture, whatever it may be, right? There's always going to be people saying and sowing seeds of dissension, like we mentioned before. But I just find it so funny. All the narratives that come out of this thing, from people saying that we're homophobic, we are misogynist now, we don't support black books now. I'm like, it's crazy.
We're all making money too. Did you hear that?
Oh, we're making money. Oh, brother.
Oh, I didn't hear
That's
that.
new to me.
If y'all can figure out how this can make us money, that would be cool. But we're not getting any money off of this. I saw in a few comment sections, people like decisively say that, like, oh yeah, they're making a bag off this. And I was like, how? What do you think we're doing, man?
Like show us the evidence on this whiteboard here and say, where are we making money off of this? On top of all that, and again, you take comic books out of the equation, the civil rights movement. Yes, we were at the forefront of that, but it also opened the window up for everyone else. So,
bruh, I have my own comic book publisher right now with an active Kickstarter going on. And I have not at any point through all this stuff ran an ad or any kind of promotional stuff for my own stuff, like in the campaign stuff, because I don't want you to fuck it up. I don't want it to get fucked up with the assumption I'm trying to profit off of boycotting DC. If my shit does well, if it doesn't do well, it's based off of how I promote it separately. But I'm not mixing my own stuff where I could profit. I could try to come up off the bag. I could say, hey, don't buy DC, go buy my shit. Get my shit. But I'm like, other creators, that's for them. If I'm doing this for the factor of it's something that needs to change culturally. Yeah. I wish I could get a backup off this shit. Honestly, if we could make a bag and do the right thing at the same time, that'd be great. I love it.
But like unfortunately, maybe they're doing it for the culture.
Oh, bro. And keep in mind, we're probably getting blackballed. Well, maybe we'll see. On the other side of this, we'll probably end up getting, once these books start announced and things come about, we'll probably end up in somewhat of at least a arm's length distance relationship with DC. But going into it, we're understanding people aren't going to like what we're going to say. DC may boycott us. They may they may tell certain writers not to fuck with us anymore. We understand what it was going in for this. We're not doing this for the profit. There's other things I could do for the profit. I want to do things for the profit. I could just pick up the hottest DC book and just read page 1 to the end and put it as a YouTube video up and have you guys do that shit. I can do that. And that video do well. The meta is not hard to figure out. It's not hard to do.
I mean, if
you know how to create content well, it's not hard.
If this was all a ploy just for us to sell our own books or make money, we could just do that without doing all this. Is so much work. I could just tell you not to buy DC and buy an indie comic like I do every Sunday when I review a different indie book for y'all. Like, I could just tell you to buy them then. Like, this isn't about that. It's bigger than one person or us trying to make money or something like that. No one's trying to do all that. I encourage you, if you're an indie writer and you can flip this into a bag, that's cool. I don't feel comfortable because I'm the one that's telling you to boycott. I don't feel comfortable trying to make money off of that at the same time. So that's what I'm saying. So anybody else, though, I'll definitely, more power to you. Yeah. Go buy else's shit. Like,
people it opens the window.
Think that folks are nefarious for no reason.
Yeah, because all of us have said, if you pull all your DC books out of your pull list and cancel your pre-orders, we didn't say walk out the store. We didn't say that. We said, hey, this opens the window for other books that you may be overlooking. Because
that is I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you good.
No, that's the thing. That's the big one, right? I feel like out of the 3 things we get the most pushback on, or at least the first 3 things that people point to immediately, is Absolute Green Lantern, it's supporting the creative teams, and then it's supporting the LCSs, right? And we've talked about Absolute Green Lantern at this point. We talked about supporting the creative teams with indie stuff. Now we're getting into the LCS stuff, right? I don't understand the mental gymnastics that have to happen for you to say, oh, if I don't spend my money on DC books at my LCS, I can't spend my money at all at the LCS. I can't say, you know what, these 4 Absolute books, I can take them out, and there's just nothing else in the store for me to buy. I just no chewing gum, no. In my shop, they sell cookies and shit. Like, there's nothing else in the shop I could possibly buy outside of DC books. All these books on the wall from indie stuff, fucking She-Spawn going on, all the black indie stuff going on from Roots of Madness to whatever it may be, Bitchcraft. I can't buy anything else off the shelf except for absolute DC titles, or just DC titles as a whole. Come on, bro. Yeah. If you are a reader that has nothing to read but DC stuff, I implore you to go read other stuff. And that's part of the reason why this country as a whole has a thing around monopolies, right? So that people can't all have to have their needs met through one thing, because having all your needs met through one entity means that entity can treat you like shit and you can't go anywhere. Which is why you want to have competition, so that companies are incentivized to do better. If everyone's only reading Marvel and DC, what incentive do they have to do better?
In essence, that people saw the Target boycott, and now they're scared of what organized Black people can accomplish, because we can definitely cut the sales.
Shit, you saw the NAACP has started a new thing now where they're really advocating for a lot of people and athletes to not go to these SEC schools, from basketball to football. Like, they tell people just, again, go to HBCUs, because we realize now with the NIL deals, a lot more power is in the hands of the athletes themselves. So the money's going to follow them where they go. So you don't have to go to a big name school to make money, because you can do that at an HBCU and still make the draft.
Yeah. And I'm gonna pull a Triple H, man. Like, oh, all you see is DC books on the shelf. Like, come here. Let me show you this other side of the store that has these shelves of books that says Image, IDW, Mad Cave, Ignition Press, Oni Press, Dark Horse. Like, look at all this shit over here.
Yeah, like, what kind of wild shop are y'all going to that you walk in and it's like dark and there's a single flickering light bulb and it just has a shelf and only Batman and Superman books are on it? Like, is that your LCS? Because mine sell cookies and chips and they have Magic Card Night and Pokemon cards and
War
Warhammer.
games.
Like, these are still third spaces for a lot of communities and a lot of places. Like, if you, and this is the way that we're saying it, I broke it down like this for somebody else. If you committed on your pull list to 5 books, that's roughly about 20 to 25 bucks, right? If that's what you committed to every 2 weeks at your LCS and you pull 4 of those books, so now you have an extra $20. That is what we are talking about. You can spend that in the store or donate it or give them if you feel that bad about it. Like, that's the part, is you're the one that feels bad about it. You feel like you're taking money away from the shop. So don't. Don't take the money away from the shop. If you committed to your $25 and you understand that's how they build their business, it's the whole point that you guys are making with the pull list thing, is that you can't give that up because it will hurt the business. Your commitment is a certain dollar amount. Figure out how much your comics cost and then still spend that every single month. It's not, I'm not asking you to spend more. You can spend less if you want to, and you're still supporting the LCS at literally the exact same rate that you were before. Nothing has to change when you do this. You guys are making it hard on purpose.
First of all, I'm jealous of both of y'all because y'all got cookies and shit in y'all comic book store.
Oh, yeah.
Work. But the only thing I can really brag about, because we got 3 LCS here, and one of them is a record store. So like when you walk in, the first half of the store is comic books, and then there's constant music playing, right? And usually Chuck Brown, shout out to Chuck typically there because he do signings and stuff like that. He was doing signings during Free Comic Book Day. And then the last half of the store is nothing but vinyl, and you can just get records there. So not only can you get records, but you can get comics, not cookies though. But jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Man. I'm jealous.
Shout out to Oxford Comics. And it was funny, they don't even make them in the house. There's like some guy in the community that will come in and say, hey, I want to sell my cookies here. Can we like split the profits on it, whatever it may be? And then them shits sell, because them shits are good. Horrible for my diet, but they're amazing. They're great. Cookies, brownies, whatever. But the next thing too, in regards to that, I want to challenge the idea that a lot of people have in regards to when they hear the word indie comic, they perceive that to be lesser than. They perceive that to be an inferior product. And I don't think they understand that for the most part, not only are a lot of these writers and artists that are working on Marvel and DC projects going and doing indie titles because that's where they can express their full creativity and all their ideas and own it without having to worry about DC being the ones that control all their creative ideas and make money off of it. They go there for that. So you tend to get more nuanced and more creative stories there because these writers are saving their best stuff for indies. Because why would you put your best work somewhere where you can't own your best stuff? And then not only that, when you're looking at the adaptations that spawn from stuff. Because I think this is another thing that I really tried to talk about in regards to helping to change the perception around indie stuff, that people understood their favorite adaptations come from that stuff. When you're looking at V is for Vendetta was an indie comic. When you're looking at The Watchmen being an indie comic. Invincible being one of the more popular things out right now being an indie comic. The Boys just finishing up was an indie comic. Like all these things. And there's a bunch of shows that have been announced that are either already out or coming out that are indie comics. Like The Beauty. I know Sex Criminals is on the way out. We know that I believe Exquisite Corpses just got greenlit for live action. Like all these things are from indie. These are stories that you watch on TV that you love, but they're indie comics. And I think the only disservice that comes within that is the fact that they're not connecting the dots to let you know, like, hey, these are coming from these amazing stories here. But these stories are worthwhile because if they weren't, they would get adapted into feature-length films or multiple episode projects that are millions of dollars of investment.
Yes. And then speaking of indie comic, I was using this for an example, is I screenshot it. So Tales of Asunder, which from Stranger Comics.
Oh, man. Shout out to Sebastian.
Yo. So they asked for, what, 10 grand? And they got 120. Okay, they got 120, and this is
Black books don't sell though. Black books don't sell.
It don't clearly.
They don't sell at all. You can't buy them at all.
Yeah, if you go to strangercomics.com, there's an article on Viola Davis's production company because they are working on something for Stranger Comics. So it's like, yeah, These mofos do sell now. I don't know who told y'all that lie.
I'd be so curious. I'd be so curious to know from somebody that works and runs the books at DC if they could tell me if there's ever been a single book, an omnibus, a trade that has ever made $120,000 in profit. Period. Ever in the history of comics. Maybe absolutely Batman now because the hype for it, but I'd be serial curious to know if like a single thing has ever made $120,000 in profit.
That's freaking wild.
And that's only 500 people. Keep in mind, 500 people spend money for that.
Yes.
As
never reading it.
Out the product. That's the part that's crazy. Is like these are people that are just invested in the dream.
Yeah.
Like
552 backers. That's it.
552. Dang.
That's it.
Right. This earlier. It's a lie. The idea that you won't like indie books, the idea that you won't like black books is someone told you that. Someone told you that, but every time y'all are exposed to them, you like the characters.
And like, it's crazy.
No matter how many funny sounding white dudes say it on the internet, people like Miles Morales. they still like Miles Morales. Like they still call him Spider-Man. People still dress up as Black Panther. Like they still you love these characters. We love these characters as like comic fans in general. And then but it feels like every time we go, okay, well, here's a new one, you guys go, no, I'm not supposed to like that. It's like, shh, give it a chance. If you're confused what to do with your hands after you're doing the boycott because you have extra money burning a hole in your wallet, give a book on the wall a chance. Go look for something that looks interesting or close to what you usually get. I promise there's an indie guy that kind of looks a little bit like whatever you were about to go buy. So do it. Yeah, I mean, there's a million detective stories if you want Batman-esque.
And Damon says, can somebody explain why we can't get information on comic print runs and sales? Which is part of the argument that we have. But go ahead.
There are two things. One, I think most people know if you've been in the comics sphere for a while, you know that Diamond was the major publisher, not publisher, but the distributor for pretty much damn near all comics at one point, and then they went under. So you saw Lunar, Penguin Random House, and like a few other different distributors become like the ones that will like distribute comics or whatever it may be. So you have different people going with different routes for it. And because it's so split up, there's no like unified system to track sales like there were with Diamond. Even with Diamond, you can't track individual sales. Like you over-the-counter sales don't get tracked. You only track sales that the shop makes. So the closest thing you can get to that, I think, is looking at the Comic Books, the magazine. I think they have a section that does pretty well regards. They look at some of the more larger shops and they track their sales in regards to what's selling in those shops. And they kind of use that as like a marker, I guess, to kind of dictate what they believe is the current market on books. But even then, that could be skewed depending on where you live. Because if you're in like a predominantly black city, you may see a black book get sold more, or depending on where you are, depending on the character, whatever it may be. So there's no dead set way. But again, that's part of why we're asking we're asking DC to be transparent with that stuff. Because in my mind, it should be easy for you to say, all right, because you have access to your system, you can say, hey, these are the amount of books that shops are buying from us directly to go to their shops. These are what books are selling based off of the large amounts that are being ordered. We're getting 10,000 copies of books ordered between this state and that state, or these stores need, because again, keep in mind, there's not even that many LCSs to begin with. So I don't think it's crazy difficult for them to come up with some form of an open portion of their website that can track those things in a live manner. Because it's not like you're trying to track 15 million different comic shops. There's only like maybe 11,000 in the country, to my knowledge, or something around that.
Yeah.
It should be an easy thing to do, but that means you're putting a lot of power into the hands of the consumer, and when consumers have powers in their hands and they can make decisions based off of accurate information, now you can't skew numbers to fit whatever your narrative you're trying to get off, like black books don't sell.
Yeah. And
right.
It's not like it was back in the day, because back in the day, it wasn't just comic book stores that had comic books. There was pharmacies and grocery stores and other places too. So, we are just reduced down to our LCS, going to an actual comic book store. Because I can tell you right now, growing up, my nearest, comic book store was like maybe 20 miles away or so. So, but when I used to go to the pharmacy, Revco, telling them my age, Revco, or CVS now, there was a carousel with comic books on it. Whether it was X-Men, whether it was Batman, it was Superman, or I may have saw one Milestone book on that carousel, but that was my access to it. So, what you were saying, Ryan? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I lost my train of thought. I was listening to what you were saying. Sorry, man.
But somebody else had a question. I think DMV. He says, "Good morning. Can you speak to why ensemble books aren't considered black ongoings? Green Lantern Corps has a black writer and features John Stewart. Justice League Unlimited features Mr. Terrific."
Because you're sharing space with other characters who are not that. And those stories aren't always based and indicative of that particular character. Now, again, I love Green Lantern Corps. I got the trade back here somewhere. I planned on hitting up Morgan Hampton to interview him about the book at some point soon, because I love what he's doing with John Stewart. John Stewart is my favorite comic book character, period, out there. But that's like saying, yeah, you can, instead of ever having a Batman book where it's Detective Batman, or not Detective Batman, Detective Comic, whatever it may be, instead of any ongoing Batman book, the only time you will ever see Batman is when he is a part of an ensemble group. So you'll never really get to have a lot of time breaking down the things that make Batman Batman. You won't get Batman Hush. You won't get Under the Red Hood. You won't get a Death in the Family. These stories that are indicative of the Batman mythos and who he is as a character. You don't get those if he doesn't have his own ongoing book. Hell, Nightwing as a character, if Nightwing was only ever present as a side character in a Batman book, you don't get the storylines that feature him. You don't get a Jason Todd for real. Like, these characters may appear and exist, but you don't get all the integral stories and all the integral things that make those characters who they are now, because they got a chance to have their own ongoing thing at one point in time. Well, I'm trying to remember. I don't think, does Jason have Jason Brothers ongoing? I can't remember if Red Hood is ongoing or not. But I know Dick Grayson. I know Nightwing has one of the longest ongoings period in DC.
Yeah. I thought Red Hood did have an ongoing, and then was supposed to have another ongoing, and then that one.
You know what? He had one, but it got canceled. It got canceled as soon as the issue one came out.
Yeah.
Because the Charlie Kirk stuff. Because I got a copy of that in here. I got the first issue in here. Because before this, I was buying that. I have them again. This is a book. Keep in mind that you probably can't find anywhere because it got canceled immediately. I got that bitch in here. I pre-ordered it.
So proud when I got that book.
They got that up out of there.
I don't even like the Crimson Crowbar. I don't even like that nigga. But I was like the book seems interesting, and he doesn't get a chance to shine. So let me check out. Let me see what they're doing with the character.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing. But also, like, on the flip side of that, like with the question of, why don't we count those books? It's because, tell me something detailed about the Signal's life. Like, tell me anything about Jace Fox. Like, there's some characters, because we only see them in ensembles, we don't know anything else about them. But so, like, it does work in that way, because as much as we love John Stewart, that's because he's had many series and times where they were able to show him shine. There's a bunch of Green Lanterns that it's like, I don't know anything more about them than whenever we see them in a giant group shot. And that's the problem that we're trying to avoid with relying on ensembles for all of your representation. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone's representation shouldn't have to just exist in the Green Lanterns, because that's a little bit what they do. Like, every time they gotta kind of have another like a new minority character, it's like, oh, just make them a Green Lantern. That's why there's so many Earth Green Lanterns, like, because there's one in every flavor.
And keep in mind, we're talking about what ensemble groups, for me, at least in the way I view them, ensemble groups are a way to introduce you to characters you may not have known about beforehand. So you'll throw in like a John or a really popular character in there to try to get people to the book, so that they read about a Jessica Cruz, they read more about Joe Mullane, they see all these other side characters and give them a chance because the big guy is there. But we understand John Stewart is popular enough of a character to have his own book. If the nigga can have his own show and be a major character in the films, the films with even bigger investments and $1 million stakes in regards to the Lantern show or the new Superman movie coming out, he probably deserves his own book. Somebody like a Static, right? sure, put him in an ensemble at some point to help him like uplift other characters. Again, because wrestling is no different from wrestling, right? What happens when you see a new wrestler come out into the zeitgeist? They either put them in a tag team with an established wrestler, or they put them in a feud with somebody who's an established person to kind of raise them up at the same time. But we do understand that the person raising him up is somebody who had their own individual title run and had their own storyline to build up his mystique so that he can raise somebody else up. If you're bringing all these characters that have been underutilized and only putting them in ensembles, how the hell are you going to build that mystique and build that character up to then bring somebody else up along down the line?
Yeah.
Again, we only have 15 different Robins being very popular and being able to be uplifted because Batman had his time to shine. Because I promise you, I best believe you were not giving any of those Robins a chance if Batman did not exist. If they used to come out with a book that said Robin on it, and it just featured Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, or Jason Todd, or even Damian before Batman, like and Batman's never existed in this frame of reference, y'all probably aren't rocking with those characters to the same extent. For sure, not Dick Grayson to the same extent. If he did not have the experiences with Batman beforehand.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Like Storm was the leader of the X-Men, but we wanted her to have a solo series at some point, and now we got it. That bitch is selling. So,
Rogue, another character like that, where she's been a leader of the X-Men. She had her own ongoing. I think does she still have an ongoing right now? I know she had Rogue Storm during the Revelation event, but I think she has another ongoing after that, though. To my knowledge, I can't remember.
I think she's got one right now. I think most of the X-Men have their own, because I know Cyclops has one. Right.
Yeah, I think it's about his one's about done. Like his limited. Gambit Most Wanted is coming out later.
Keep in mind, this is the quintessential ensemble cast. Like outside of maybe the Justice League or maybe the Avengers or the Teen Titans, maybe Doom Patrol. If you want to go a little bit further into the history, I don't think there's an ensemble cast more decorated than the X-Men. And even Marvel is like, you know what? They're the best ensemble cast ever. People really want to read this book for this ensemble cast, but we're still going to give these individual characters their own ongoing things to make sure that they have time to shine individually.
Yeah, there's Magic and Colossus, there's Cyclops right now, there's Storm, Wolverine, obviously.
Bishop's getting his book.
Yeah, Bishop getting his book. Yeah, Gambit Most Wanted later on this song, which I got that shit on my pull list.
Wolverine has got 1 million of his own fucking ongoings. His children have got ongoings based off of him being popular.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's funny? I call my LCS just to reaffirm, because sometimes I'll magically get other books in my pull list sometimes. And they say, hey, we think you might like this, that kind of thing. And I say, hey, what's on my pull list right now? And they told me, and I'm like, okay, take all that off and cancel any pre-orders. And then like, oh, well, you know, what's going on with DC Comics? Did they piss you off? I'm like, no, I'm just a little miffed. and I left it at that. I said, but I need that Bishop. If I don't have it already, I need that entire run. And I need Gambit Most Wanted. I need an entire run. And I'll come into the store and see what you got and go in my indie section and then put that series on my pull list. So, but matter of fact, I did tell him about the DC Blackout, and he was like, oh, okay. And it's almost like he almost gave out the energy like, okay, I heard about what's going on, kind of thing. And so
I find it hard to believe you're in the comic space and have not heard about it at this point.
Yeah. Which leads to that progress part. And it's been
my LTS. The owner was talking about it. He's talking about DC So White a couple of weeks ago. And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "The guys online, they're finally holding DC's feet to the fire, man." And I was like, "Cool." Like, and those are comic shop owners, because he doesn't care. He'll just order less Superman books and order more Spawn books. The LCS doesn't care who you buy. They are there to make money. Yeah. So if you go, I don't want that one, I want the other one, they're gonna sell it to you. You know, the money's still gonna spend, even if it's on Spawn. I said Spawn the other day, and somebody was like, "Oh, you're only saying Spawn because he's a black guy." Spawn is one of the most recognizable indie characters from the indie space that I could possibly think of, that even the most casual of comic book fans will possibly know about.
Yeah.
That's why I picked Spawn. For the record, Spawn doesn't even have skin by design, because Todd McFarlane has said that he wanted to separate Spawn from his skin. Like, he's a black person, but his skin isn't what makes him Spawn, which is why they burnt all of his skin off. So don't be lazy. Like, don't be lazy and just try to say that we are forcing people to buy stuff or whatever. That's not what's happening at all. And the comic shops are only going to hurt if you make them hurt.
Yeah.
And I think this is the major thing, right? You don't have to participate if you're, because that's something that I've seen other creators talk about in videos that are against it. It's like, well, y'all are making other creators feel pressure to talk about this because people are asking why they are talking about it. They're probably asking you because they respect your opinion and they find this being something that is worth talking about. But again, even at that, you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to back the boycott. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything. To your point, we're asking people to do less, actually. So if you don't want to support it, don't support it. But when you see a bunch of other people that want to be on the right side of this support it, and you see what happens after the fact, know you had a chance. And if you didn't, cool. It's never going to, like, we're never going to know, for one, and then nor will we care if you don't back it, because more than likely, you're not going to, you aren't going to be a part of this. You're not the people we're speaking to. We're speaking to people that want to see change, or speaking to people that don't get this representation and want to find a way to get it. The people that have asked for years, man, I wish my favorite black character got a chance to get a book or do whatever it may be, and they don't know how to get that. We're providing them an avenue to try to advocate for that. So they're doing it. If you feel as though you don't want to do that, cool. We're not speaking to you. This isn't an important thing to you. It's not an important matter to you.
Yeah.
And if it's not an important matter to you, cool. It is what it is. We're not trying to convince. We're not trying to change minds. We're giving people a way to fight that want and have wanted to fight for a very long time, which is why you see the explosion of support from people even outside of the black community that are supporting this thing, because they've been fans of Mr. Terrific or whatever it may be for a long time. I wanted to see these characters as well.
And that's a vocal majority, you know, as far as wants to see that change within DC. The people that are naysayers, that's the vocal minority. And then, you know, there's also a notion of, oh, where we forcing your hand, or, you know, you getting cussed out if, you know, you don't support it. Like, no, that's not what it is. Now, if you speaking ignorantly, then yeah, I wouldn't say get cussed out, but you're definitely getting heavily educated, because you talk about things that you may not know. And, you know, whether you see it right here in front of you or behind the scenes, there's some stuff that you may not know. I mean, progress is being made. Steadily, progress is being made. And that's how change actually happens. And, you know, I said this on my other video. There was an interview that Tupac had with this young lady talking about, hey, if you had a group of people that was hungry, and I'm paraphrasing, group of people that was hungry knocking on someone's door that has all this money and food, you ask them for food and they say no. Okay, you come back second time around, you know, with singing and all this other stuff to entertain this person. Like, okay, maybe this will warm this person up to me, and it slammed a door in your face. Now the third time, I'm kicking down your door and pissing on your toilet seat and dirtying up your couch, because now I got your attention because I'm hungry. So, but again, that's not begging. It's just asking for a change, and the only way to get that attention is the pockets. You know, and speaking economically here. And then once they feel that, then like, okay, wait a minute. You know, everybody's talking about this, you know, from, you know, comic book content creators, you know, comic book shops, they're talking about it. You know, other writers and artists from other comic book companies, they're talking about this. The ball's in your court. They see, what are you going to do? And when are you going to do it? and again, we ain't asking for a whole lot. There's not a whole lot we're asking for.
And we'll give you your money. Bruh, give us the book. I'll pre-order the fuck out the book. I'll buy multiple copies from my shop to just give away to people, so kids get a chance to read that book. If it was like a Vixen book or a Mr. Terrific book or a Steel, whatever it is, I don't care. Like, we'll get. We're not saying that we want to abolish you as a company. We want you out of here. We just want you to give us the stuff that you already have.
Yeah.
It's like begging McDonald's for the McRib to be a year-round thing. Like, bruh, if niggas like the McRib, just put the McRib on the menu and niggas will buy the McRib. I don't understand what the issue is.
Yeah. Easy. Like what Ice Cube said, we put cash in your hand. Like we got you. We got you. Just let us know when the book's coming out and we can pre-order.
Like, we don't want to tear down DC, and we keep saying it over and over again, but we think DC is more aloof than being specifically racist. I don't think that, like, we don't think that they're trying to be racist. And also, as quiet as it's kept, they're being super quiet right now because they're embarrassed. Like, behind the scenes, quietly, there's a lot of really embarrassed people at the top that went, oh shit, we didn't notice this. Or they've been noticing it since we brought it back up in September, and they're like, and they haven't known what to do. So they just sit on their hands and just hope that we'll just quietly stop talking about it. But for everyone who is trying to imply that this is performative, let us explain again that what a protest is to be visible. There's two things that a protest has to accomplish. It has to let the person who is being boycotted know that they're being boycotted, but then the rest of the world needs to know why they're being boycotted. That's how you have leverage to get what you want. It has to be very visible. So yeah, we're going to be really loud and it's going to seem performative, but that's because it has to be a spectacle. That's what every protest is exposing it to somebody. Like, we're trying to show you something. We're using megaphones. Yeah, we're loud on purpose. Oh boy.
It's in this country and around the world, by the way. Keep in mind, we just watched, what was it Nepal? Where they legit like burned down the Capitol building and they had to like air evacuate either the president or whatever the highest position of leadership was there. But he had to get air evacuated out of there because the people went in there and were just like tired of whatever was going on in regards to them mishandling money and the policies and whatever it may be. They were like, yeah, bro, we tired of asking. We tired of begging and pleading. We just burning this shit down and we're electing a new person in office and they're going to give us what we need because we've asked you nicely too long.
And one last thing, if you're against this, I want you to seriously ask yourself, what does this take away from you? That should be the question that you ask yourself while you're deciding to do any sort of protest or boycott, is what weigh the pros and cons, right, of your involvement with this. What do you actually lose if we succeed? Because that's what you guys are stopping. Everyone who is vocally trying to be against this or shut us up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think that you'll be losing out on if DC gives you more. Like, we're not telling them to replace books. Like, yeah, I'll get that, right? We're telling them to add to their current roster that they have right now. So every Superman book that you are ordering, I want you to be able to get all of those and Mr. Terrific. I want you to get all the Justice League books and a Vixen book. That's what we want. Like, it's so mind-bogglingly backwards to me to just be like, oh man, these guys are bad and they're trying to do something bad. It's like, what does it take away from you? And if you see somebody making very aggressive content about why they don't like us, you should ask yourself, what is this taking away from them if they succeed?
You know, as the Boondocks once said, what did they do to make them niggas that mad?
Start thinking of myself. But man, I think about Vixen, man. I really do want a Vixen comic book because I became a fan of hers through Justice League Unlimited and interactions with Jon Stewart, and I was pro Vixen. I like, man,
say man.
And but one of my favorite lines though was when John was in that elevator and then Shira was dressed to the nines and this man was just talking. He like, Judas Priest. I know that ain't what he wanted to say. He wanted to say, God damn. I know he wanted to say that. They had to edit that out. Oh. But so next up, like what books are y'all currently reading right now?
Hold on. I went by the shop the other day. I'm hurt because I forgot to get bags and borders for all of these. Oh my God. So I finished binging Sex Criminals the other day, all 30 issues, because I heard the show's coming out and I heard Nia DaCosta was directing the first episode. I'm a big Nia DaCosta fan and I was curious. Again, whenever I see an indie book get adapted, I want to see what's going on there. And I want to see what is going on in regards to the indies getting a bit of love. So I checked that out. I have been reading the Witchblade series by Marguerite Bennett. That has been amazing. She is an amazing writer. And then I have these. I have Odin, which I have not read yet, but I bought. Again, Marguerite Bennett and James Tynion IV is James. Love both of them as writers. So when I heard they were collabing together on a book, knew I had to get that. I've interviewed this man a couple times on my channel, Doug Wagner with Narco. He is the creator of the Plastic Verse at Image Comics, a serial killer universe with a bunch of different people. And this is issue 3 that released that I've been binging, and I talked to him about that. Funny enough, same man, and Doug Wagner is doing Cyberpunk 2077 Chrome. He's writing that with Dark Horse right now, and it has been amazing. Again, I'm a big horror fan, so you're gonna see a lot of horror books right here for me. Supernatural. I tapped in with the first issue because my guy Eater Messias, he does some work for Echelon, and he's done stuff with a lot of different things around the industry, worked with Marvel, whatever it may be, but he did the first issue of this series, so I've been kind of just tapped in because of that. I may or may not drop it. We'll see how I feel about it later on. And as far as Black indies go, I recently did a lot of content and was binging the hell out of Midnight Tiger by Studio Sky Tiger. Go check them out. I recently went through and I read it, but I'm gonna try to get a copy for issue 2 so that I can do content around it with Mark Brandy and Crimson Sleeper Studios for Scion issue 2, another book that's on the shelf down here. She Spawn, I've been reading. I started Captain America Symbol of Truth. That's an older book, so don't worry about that too much. And I am going to take a dip and dip my toe back into manga because I've not read manga in a while after reading the first chapters of Gachi Akira. But in the shop, it was there, and I finally said, you know what? I've been slacking too much. Let me go ahead and pick up Monsters We Make by Corey Kenshin. So I'm going to check this out. It's still literally still in the wrappings. I need to give this a read at some point soon.
That man got it fresh. He got it fresh.
Yeah. So that's all that I had in my pull list that I went and picked up, and I gotta get back support for all these.
What about you, Ryan?
Cool. I've been reading a lot of indie stuff, so I have like a bunch. I got like a bunch of reviews that I just put up. Divine Influence. I just checked that out, man.
Oh man,
yo, that book is so dope. I got a review for that coming out. But I just got sent Pepper Piper Monster Hunter from who is this? Next Step Comics.
I felt so bad because they keep DMing me about the book, and I keep meaning to get to them about reading that, and I need to. I'm gonna ship a DM now, actually.
Yeah. Let me give them their. Where's my focus at? Let me give them their flowers and stuff. They just sent me this book earlier today, and I'm just checking it out, man, and it is dope. It's so good. It's so good. Very like D&D vibes, kind of like Final Fantasy vibes. But I'm definitely loving that, and I'm gonna check that out. And that's probably gonna be my next review after this one because I'm kind of obsessed with it. But that's what I've been checking out. What you got, man?
So what I started reading this yesterday and last night because I know we talked offline a little bit because I was talking to Ernie a little bit. Once we got offline, I started reading Ace Blade. So I started reading Ace Blade and then freaked around and fell asleep in my office chair from reading it. So I caught back up. But yeah, I got Ace Blade. That's what I'm reading currently, thoroughly enjoying it. And the fact that we going on this hiatus from DC, I'm going to catch up on Thundercats, Silverhawks, and to lead into Thunderhawks. I've been reading Moonra. I did a review on that. Really do love that book. And I did pick up a while back, and I know I'm going to start reading this this weekend, The Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre. It's just the title alone. I was like, yeah.
Like Cocaine Bear?
Yeah. So
honestly, a hippopotamus scares me more than a bear. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, right. And then I got Ben 10.
Oh man.
For that. Yeah. You know, what's funny about that is that I have not watched the series. I have not watched the cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it came out during the time where, you know, I was just outside and, you know, that's when I wasn't really watching much of anything. And I know I missed the gym. I know that. I know I missed the gym. And the fact that this book actually is kind of like I would say a starting over, but it's not like a continuation type of deal. Mm-hmm. And I know some fans were upset about that because they wanted a continuation, but they never really said this is a continuation. They kind of like, you know how people put stuff in their head? So this is a great starting off point for me because reading this book, I really did like it. So can't wait for issue number 2. for that, and I'm catching up on Gargoyles as well. Like Dynamite is killing it, man. Like, and I want that Aladdin book. I want that Aladdin book. I really do.
And you know what's funny? When it comes to Ben 10, like I think Man of Action did majority of obviously the writing for stuff like this, for that show. But Dwayne McDuffie also worked in that show.
Yeah, he did. He like brought that show to life.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Okay. All right. So now I have to go now. I gotta
go watch that show, bro. I'm telling you,
I gotta go see
at least that original show, Alien Force, Ultimate Alien got a little shaky. After Ultimate Alien, I was like, all right, this may not be for me anymore. Maybe I've aged out of it. They have different stuff going on here. But them first three, Ben 10, Alien Force, and Ultimate Alien, that was my shit.
Yep. And also I purchased Noir is the New Black. I cannot wait for that book to come in. It's like the anthology series. It's supposed to come in yesterday, but it got delayed. So it's gonna be here between tomorrow and Tuesday. So I gotta wait longer for that one. And I purchased Reaper #1, which is Captain Diesel's book. So he's wearing it right now. So I did purchase that book, so I'm actually going to read that over the weekend as well. And well, I had Ace Blade as the indie comic of the week. If you go to fourthwallpros.com, there's an actual website for the watchers here. If you want to go visit the website, it is right here. He has merch, he has mugs, he has hats, along with other books. There's Lumberjacks as well. As King Supreme. So it's not only Ace Blade, there's other books as well for Fourth Wall Pros. And he has to have a series for the hero, a section for the heroes and the villains of Fourth Wall Pros. And you can learn about him because Danny Quick is the founder and CEO. He's the writer for Ace Blade and Queens of Die, along with Morgan Iverson, writer of Lumberjacks in Harlem, Wally McNair, co-writer and artist of King Supreme and artist of Harlem. Ro Lamb, writer. Brian Lambert, editor of Ace Blade. Kyron Silver, editor-in-chief. And that is the team for Fourth Wall Productions. So to fourthwallpros.com, go ahead and support these young men out here.
Hey, check them out. I've seen Mr. Quick talk about Ace Blade before, and I know my boy Ernie did a variant cover for him. So I've been meaning. I'm working on highlighting a bunch of Black indie stuff and this indie stuff as a whole during the course of this boycott. So I have my Midnight Tiger stuff done. I did an interview with Ray Anthony Hyatt, but I need to hit up Mr. Quick about Ace Blade because I am behind on doing so. Yeah,
he's also got a Kickstarter going on, I think. Too.
Oh, does it?
I've been trying to keep up with everybody's Kickstarters, but y'all all play Kickstarter for the spring. Man, trying my best to keep up because I know Metropia Comics, that's Fumes. Their Kickstarter just ended. Scion is in its second week.
It just started,
Ace Blade #10 starts in June, I think, in like a week or so. And then there was one for Shockwave, I think Future Shock. Yeah, Shockwave and Future Shock. They just had one or it's just about to start or something like that. Kickstarter kind of confuses me because like y'all promote the Kickstarter before the Kickstarter start, and then once the Kickstarter start, then you promote it again. I get confused.
I'll tell you why this is. It's just because, and Mark does it. He's a genius in doing so. If you try to promote the Kickstarter, because you only get 2 months to promote a Kickstarter once it's live, so you tend to want to promote it before it goes live. So when it goes live, people are already tapped into it. So you don't have to rush to try to get there. Because even with our stuff, it's like it's getting close to the cut for it, and that's mostly because we didn't do a pre-launch page, which is on me. I was supposed to do a pre-launch page and fucked it up because it was my first time attempting to do so. But yeah, you tend to want to promote things before. Again, DC, when it comes to promoting these Black books, imagine if they promoted a Black book before it came out, while it was out, and then after it came out in regards to trades or omnibuses or whatever it may be. But, c'est la vie.
Yeah, because I think Scion funded in 23 hours or something like that. He reached his first goal and then did like stretch goal. If they did some promotion and told people they would, pre-order it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one last bit of news. I just came across this. And it's reference to Dark Horse, and they are forming a union after changes at the publisher. So,
I saw that.
which I'm like, whoa. I was like, okay. Like, and this came across and it says, to quote, "We the workers of Dark Horse Media have come together to form one union, Dark Horse Workers United, with our parent union, the Communication Workers of America. In solidarity, we stand together to contend for our rights as workers, vote as a democratic body, and improve our material conditions. The looming uncertainty from recent layoffs, wage/hiring freezes, change in leadership power, emergence of artificial intelligence, and return to office policies, despite their economic impact on employees, have fueled us to organize and collectively address our concerns. These are just a few examples of why we are seeking a democratic workplace." Thoughts?
Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Unions are the
I support-
basis. Unions are the basis of this country in regards to the reason why we have even child labor laws. The reason that you just can't get worked from day till night until you are in the grave, the reason that you're not in what you could call it a sort of internment camp at one point in time, because back in the day they would have workers live in these company-owned like mini cities. So you would just work, go home, but your home is owned by your job. So it's the fact we have all these liberties we have now in regards to our employment is because unions were created and unions exist. So in a space where it is very easy to get exploited in regards to you being an artist or a writer, I think having some kind of a unified union, no pun intended, is a great way of going about everybody getting equal treatment. Hell, they talked about it. I've seen some people talk about it in regards to the boycott and why, we need to support these mini books because these writers don't even really get paid what they're supposed to. They get exploited X, Y, and Z. So not supporting them does X. I'm like, hey, if they had a union, it would be really nice. It'd be harder for them to get exploited in that manner. So having one like this it's amazing. So shout out to the union with Dark. Well, hopefully with Dark Horse if they accept the union.
Yeah. And the thing that popped up to me for the emergence of artificial intelligence, because I know that is a fight. I mean, nowadays, it felt like a struggle at first, but I feel like people start to realize, like, anytime there's a mention of AI, it's like it draws ire. They're like, we seen what happened with the commencement addresses with some of these graduation ceremonies, these speakers, they get booed the sheer mention of the word AI. And I was like, yeah, okay, now y'all see. I mean, like, y'all really seeing the impact of this, and it really does impact artists. So bravo to them. And I know that Action Pack said comics and wrestlers are two industries that desperately need the union.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when it came down to wrestling, Jesse Ventura was the one that was heading up like the union for wrestlers, and the mofo that snitched, the mofo that stopped all that from happening, is Hogan. Easy. So, I'm like, come on, man. So they had an opportunity, but Hogan was a hater on that standpoint.
If we had a conversation, it may be time for a WWE boycott at some point. I'm not the one to organize that. I'm not as informed on it, but hey, man,
I'm already doing it.
The way the WWE been moving lately, I'm like, you know what? I love Rhea. I love the Usos. I love Trick Williams. But hey, the way I operate right now is real suspicious, my brother. Let me go over here to AEW and see what Edge over here cooking up at AEW real quick.
Yeah, because that's all I've been watching. I ain't gonna hold you. Because I know about things that's going on. Because I know there's a pay-per-view like today, a PLE today in Italy. But like what WWE's doing right now, especially with the New Day, which was super egregious. But they out here like just to let them go as a collective, which is crazy. But I already know AEW like ringing that phone off the hook. I already know they're doing that. And the minute they will pull up, which I'm hoping that they will, after these 90 days is up, like AEW is right here, but it's gonna go right there as far as like what's going on. But yeah, I'm already boycotting WWE. Like I just
didn't what's her girl name? Fine as hell. Puerto Rican Zelina Vega. Didn't she try to do a thing at one point as far as the union before she got fired at one point?
That I don't know.
Because I found it very interesting. She tried to do something sort of a boycott, and then they fired her. They may have brought her back, and then recently, like her and her husband and Aleister Black got pieced out when they were like in the middle of what I thought was relatively interesting storylines. Again, I'm not as tapped in with how that works with the WWE and who's popular, who's not, because I'm super casual when it comes to that. But you don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious, my brother?
It like the thing was like with Malachi Black, like his is a little bit of irony because he was with AEW for a period, and then there was rumors that he didn't want to take a fall, like he didn't want to like take a loss to people or whatever, and he wanted out of his contract, and he got out of his contract, went back to WWE, only to be with WWE for a year to get let go.
And you're mass firing and letting go like Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Like the fact Kofi Kingston, one of your only WWE Black champions ever, is just let go after fans have been rocking with that dude for like a decade plus. You had fucking Ron Killings now, but R-Truth was let go, and you saw the mass outrage in that. I'm like, I get letting go like newer people who may and maybe not be getting their things across, but at a certain point, once you got a Hall of Fame legacy act, bro, let them ride it till the wheels fall off at that point, in my mind. Yeah, like I'm like, you ain't got to pay them top dollar. You don't got to pay them Roman Reigns money, but why are you letting go of legacy acts?
And it's TKO, man. It's no longer WWE. It's TKO because they are jacking up these prices. You talking hundreds, thousands of dollars at the front row. That's why in the front row you typically see like celebrities or whatever the case may be up at the front. And if viewing this like a UFC type of deal, and that's why you got these celebrities coming in for WrestleManias and stuff like being involved in matches that dilutes the storyline and stuff like that. And also, they do not know what to do with supernatural characters, which is indicative of Aleister Black and Zelina Vega and the Wyatt Six. Like they didn't know what to do with them.
You know what?
You could have done.
I've seen them move away from what's the old girl name? She's in the tag team with Charlotte Flair now. Alexa Bliss. They moved away from her having that whole like evil, creepy aesthetic when she came back. I noticed that.
Yep. They got away from that because she's one of the hot commodities, to be honest with you. And Wyatt Six could have very well been, especially with Bray Wyatt's passing and his brother being the leader of the Wyatt Six and all that stuff. But they do not know how to handle supernatural characters. They just
need some fresh fighters in there. Is what it sounds like. I need to call out Stephanie Williams.
Yeah, call Steph. She got you. She got you out here. She got you. Don't worry about it, man. That chick would be nice too.
But I know she get it back out that.
Easily. But yeah, man, this is our show for today, man. We just wanted to shed a little bit more light on DC Blackout because I know you guys have been hearing about it and some people may have had questions. I hope, all you guys' questions have been answered. If you had questions about the Blackout, or, what it pertains to, none of us are going to bite your head off. It's so don't have that preconceived notion that other people are saying, "Oh, we're gonna bite your head off." And this movie is not just for us; it's for everybody. That even the LGBTQIA plus community is for them as well. So it's not just for us. So it opens the window for everyone, and that's what we like to see. Not just on Black History Month, not just like what I mean. Not just for the month of June where the LGBTQIA plus community is highlighted. Not just in June, DC Pride Month. So, we need all 12 of those months, man. We need
Give me 13 of them. 14 months. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Easily. So, y'all got anything else for the listeners out there, watchers? Any pardon?
If y'all want more information, have any questions, again, tomorrow during 9 p.m. Eastern on my stream, we're going to be doing an open forum. We're going to be discussing and addressing any questions and concerns I have around it, kind of what we did here. But everybody at least majority of everybody from the BCA will be there in attendance, as well as we will be working to provide you guys with alternatives for books. So especially for Pride Month, if you guys still want to support and buy queer-led books or queer writing teams, creative teams, we're going to give you guys a list of books to check out that you guys can go read in alternative to the stuff for DC right now. That's all I got.
Yep. Oh, yeah. This is one of them too, by the way.
Yeah. I need to figure out what I want to promote because I know it's gonna be tough. I think everybody's gonna take all my favorites. So I gotta think outside the box now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a
jury right here. I'm like, oh, this is a heist. I'm gonna get this.
Yeah, I got a couple of indie books that I'm trying to figure out which
Mm.
ones I wanna talk about. But yeah, come over to the stream tomorrow night. And we'll, if you guys have any more questions or anything like that. And again, we're not telling you what to do. This is a question, and this is for the whole community. Like we're with everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So see you guys next time. We love y'all. Peace.